The first drive we're going to talk about is the Sonnet Fusion. It comes in this really nice casing. It is all aluminum and dissipates heat really well. I will say in my testing that this one gets really warm, but not as warm as the OWC Envoy. This also has an integrated LED that is access indicator here, kind of cleverly designed into the Fusion writing. And this one is not as bright and as distracting as the other two, so this is the only one that I wouldn't cover up. Around the bottom, you'll see that it has 4 really nice rubber feet, and I would say that over time, if I don't move this drive very often, I could see dust and dirt getting built up in its top grill here. One thing about this cable is that it is 19 inches in length or 48 centimeters. Unfortunately, it does have an integrated cable, so over time this connection here could become damaged or something that you can't service the drive. I wish Sonnet would have revised this design and kind of connected it with a disconnecting cable, but I think they're doing some things behind the scenes to make this drive as fast as it is. So with that said, Sonnet says this drive can go up to 2600 megabytes or 2.6 gigabytes per second read, and up to 1600 megabytes or 1.6 gigabytes per second write. It is PCIe based. It is Windows and Mac compatible. Another bad thing about this drive is that it only offers 1 terabyte capacity variant, so you don't get anything more or less than that. It is $895 at the time of this video. So with the Sonnet read and write speeds using Blackmagic's disk speed tests, it finishes the write so quickly that I don't want to make a judgment off the first iteration of it. Additionally, it's the same thing with the read. It is just so super fast, but after it gets kind of sped up, it's around 1100 megabytes per second write and around 2300 megabytes per second read. It is phenomenally fast. One thing that I will note is that Blackmagic Disk Speed Test is reporting that it's not the best drive for 10-bit 422 files that are 4K 60p. Unfortunately, I don't have a way of testing that, but I will say that I have tested raw files off of this drive at that resolution and frame rate with no problem. All right, so the next drive on our list is the OWC Envoy Pro EX drive, all aluminum. And the grill here goes all the way around the drive on the 2 longer sides of it. I will say that this drive gets a lot warmer than any of the 3 drives that are being tested in this video. And on the bottom you got these 2 padded feet. The 2 bad things about this drive is that it has an integrated cable just like the Sonnet drive, and the freaking cable's so short. I can't even really do anything with this. It's 7 inches long or about 18 centimeters, so you can't even really connect it to your MacBook Pro and kind of Velcro it or jimmy rig it to the back of the casing or anything like that. It's just super short, and I don't like that. Other than that, it performs really well. It comes in at around $500 or $499 at the time of this video, and there's only 1 storage capacity, but if you get the Envoy Pro EX VE version, you can get that up to 2 terabytes, but that'll really skyrocket the price on this. It is Windows and Mac compatible, and the one thing that differentiates this drive out of the 3 is that it comes with some setup software that allows you to kind of take full advantage of the stuff in here, and I really like that about OWC's drive. The stated specifications of the read and write on this, there is no write speeds written down or even provided by the manufacturer, but it is up to 1800 megabytes per second read. So we'll go ahead and look at that here momentarily. It is M.2 NVMe interface. So let's go ahead and look at some synthetic benchmarks with this one. The disk speed test is reporting around 900 megabytes per second write, but I'm gonna go ahead and let that roll through a second iteration or even a third iteration of this speed test. The read is coming in at 1400 megabytes per second read. There's one thing that disk speed test is reporting that is not capable with this is the write speeds for 4K 60p 10-bit 422 files. That doesn't mean that this drive can't handle those. It's just disk speed is reporting that this drive is not the best possible solution for that. Kind of disappointing when you're looking at synthetic benchmarks because it is reporting around 1400 megabytes per second read, which is 400 less than what the manufacturer is saying. I like manufacturers that are conservative in their disk speed claims. It's kind of a under promise and over perform type of thing, but it looks like they're over promising and underperforming in this case. All right, so the slowest and probably my favorite drive of the three is the Glyph Atom RAID. So there's two SSDs in here that are built into a hardware RAID array that Glyph manages for you, and it's just recognized as one, and it's all passed through a USB 3.1 Type-C connection that is right here. This thing comes inside of this protective cover. It gets warm, but it doesn't get hot. It's nowhere near the other two drives in this video. Around the bottom, you can see it's just this, and the case has these built-in feet. It's a really, really nice drive. I have the Glyph Atom, and I've done a video on that if you want to check out the card and see how that performs. That's just one single drive that's passed through USB Type-C. It's up to 860 megabytes read and write. Rugged, aluminum, really nice, and it comes with this cover. Additionally, they provide you two cables, one to USB Type-C to USB Type-A and one USB Type-C to Type-C, but they are super short and I don't recommend using them. This comes in 1, 2, or 4 terabyte storage capacity variants. The pricing on this is $429 for the 1 terabyte, $799 for the 2 terabyte, which is pictured in this video, and $1599 for the 4 terabyte. The only bad thing about this drive is that it is USB 3.1 Type-C connectivity, and I will say that you get a little bit faster speeds if you use the Thunderbolt 3 cable and not this USB Type-C 3.1 cable that is provided to you. So keep that in mind. If you buy this drive, I would highly recommend that you get a Thunderbolt 3 cable. Let's go ahead and hop into some synthetic benchmarking. Right out of the gate, this thing flies. So it's very consistent across the two. You can see it spike up into the 880s, almost 890s with the read on the second iteration or even in the first. And it's really performing per what the manufacturer said. So Glyph was very conservative with the read and writes because it is overperforming a little bit on the read and performing almost exactly at the write. 10-bit, 422, 4K, 50 and 60p is just not recommended with this drive, but I will say this functions with Cinema Raw light footage off my Canon C200, no problem. Like, I have no issues with this drive at all. So synthetic benchmarks are great and all, but I want to do a quick real life test. I have a 20.39 gigabyte raw file from my Canon C200, and I'm going to drag and drop it into the Sonnet and start this timer. As soon as I get this over, I'm going to let go and start the timer. We'll see how fast the transfer speeds are on this. I finished it in 17.65 seconds. That is so freaking fast. All right, so on to the OWC Envoy. Let's go ahead and drag, get ready to drop this and start the timer. The 20.39 gigabyte file, ready, 1, 2, 3, go. 20.75 seconds for a 20 gigabyte file. This one is fast too. All right, so I want to preface this portion by saying that I am connecting the Glyph Atom RAID via a Thunderbolt 3 cable, which I highly recommend that you do. So your mileage may vary if you're not doing it via Thunderbolt 3. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get this 20.39 gigabyte file dragged and dropped onto the Glyph Atom RAID. 22.76 seconds. Wow, this one's fast too. So again, this is why I think this one is really awesome. The Sonnet Fusion is a great, fast, capable drive. The bad thing about it is it's a little big, it's a little heavy, it's only 1 terabyte. It's $895 at the time of this video and has an integrated cable. If it had a removable cable, I could recommend this one, but this is probably the one that comes in third in this video for me because of those things. This integrated cable and the price is just too much for me to kind of recommend to you. The second runner-up is the Envoy. I don't understand why this is so short. That's what she said. But OWC should really consider making this at least double the length because it's really difficult to use on a MacBook Pro because you can't really wrap it around or do anything with it because it is so short. It works really well for an iMac, kind of setup like I have behind me. It gets warm, it's not that expensive, and I think it's a good option if you're okay with having an integrated cable, because at 500 bucks, this is definitely worth it. My recommendation to you is the Glyph Atom RAID, because it performs well, is reasonably priced, and has a removable cable. It's super portable and performs flawlessly. The bad thing is that it's not Thunderbolt 3. This comes in a bunch of different variants, a size variant, so you can get 1, 2, or 4, like I said. But this one's my recommendation. Before I close, I must disclose B&H was kind enough to send these 3 drives to me for testing and review for you in this video. If you're interested in pricing and availability and want to pick up my recommendation, the Glyph Atom RAID, there will be a link in the description, so feel free to check that out. Well, that about does it for me in this one. If you liked this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm Tomas, and I will catch you in the next one.